So if a student has had even so much as an after-school detention, they're disqualified. I think they're permitted 1 or 2 lunch detentions, but after that they're disqualified. And of course, any in-school or out-of-school suspensions, they're disqualified. So that's a pretty low threshold. You have 1 detention, you're out of the reward. You need to make good choices consistently. So on Friday, we had an awesome time. Kids who qualified could choose to spend the time in the afternoon at an open gym, just playing games, having fun, in a movie in the auditorium, doing a craft project in the art room, or playing bingo in the cafeteria. And this was especially neat because the Littlestown Fire Company brought their bingo machine, and Mrs. Snyder from the high school came down and actually called bingo, and they gave us the real colored bingo cards where you rip off each game's a different color, and we had prizes, and it was just amazing, good fun. The students could pick the reward that would be the most fun for them. Of all the 6th graders, 21 of those students did not qualify. Only 5 of them were for discipline reasons. Of the 7th graders, 46 kids did not qualify. Only 6 of them were for discipline reasons. And of the 8th graders, 42 of them did not qualify, and only 12 of them were for discipline reasons. Okay, so the majority of the reasons here that got students disqualified were for their grades. So I think Ms. Glass, our assistant principal, she did an excellent job organizing these things. The kids really love it. They're working hard to earn these rewards. Our next reward later in the winter is going to Magic Elm to go skating, and the kids already know that 3rd award, so hopefully it will entice them to continue to make good choices at school. The other thing I want to brag about is our honor roll. First quarter just ended recently, and we had 213 students on the blue honor roll, which is a 3.0 GPA to a 3.89 GPA. So 213 students. And gold honor roll, which is a 3.9 GPA or higher, 4.0, 64 students. So I think that's incredibly impressive, and it shows that students at Maple Avenue are working really hard to be the best versions of themselves when they come to school. And so I just wanted you all to know that. End of report, unless there are any questions.
I just want to say, Ms. Cole,
yes.
Thank you. I really like that statement. Make good choices and meet expectations.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. If everybody just did that, then the world would be a better place. Right? Thank you.
All right, I just want to follow up. There's a couple of key points here for ACES, and a little bit to Nate's points. The Thunder's been stolen, and that's okay. That's part of why we're the Thunderbolts, right? So I just want to do some statistical piece of a little bit about behavior, and it goes to that point about good decision making. So really just want to start that 98% of the students at ACES are really making good decisions. How I come up with that number is we have 766 students in the elementary school, and only 13 of those students have received any kind of suspension in a school year. 9 boys and 4 girls. When you look at that and you take that piece out, really 90% of our students, K to 5, have been making great decisions this school year. Haven't received any type of disciplinary action from their teacher or the administration. And that's something that, as Courtney spoke about the middle school, that we're very proud at the elementary school too. When you talk about that 8% of students, when you go from the 98 to the 90, you really have to keep in mind when you're talking about K to 5, you're talking about 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, okay? It's just really remember their teachable moments for those kids. So, that is part of the process of coming to public school, getting those experiences outside of the home, helping to teach them how to behave. But overall, I can't complain. We have a great group of kids over there, a great support from our families and our community. So with 98% of your kids are really making really good decisions, that's something to be proud of as a school district. Part of, as the middle school spoke, Courtney did, same at the elementary school. We do have a school-wide positive behavior and expectations promoted through our pilot program and our core Values program, and we really believe that's a big reason why that happens. In addition to that program, we also we have phone calls that go out from our teachers to families celebrating the success and the positive things that our students are doing. They send messages, sometimes handwritten notes home with their students that, again, just positively recognizing the students' work in the academic area, the behavior area, and their decision making. Another area that we're focusing on in the elementary school with the work with Dr. Berryman and our grade level teams is we begin discussions centered around Tier 1, 2, and 3 instructional practices. Our staff and supportive interventions in place for our students. So again, creating that healthy dialogue, that healthy discussion for that, and very appreciative of the work that she's doing to help support our building. That discussion sort of centered around improvement in differentiating our instruction through the academic lens, whether that's in whole group or small group practices, helping to build our teachers' capacity in their weekly lesson planning and their implementation of that practice. As we know, we're coming into our budget season, so again, resource funding to help support their needs in their building and our practices by our staff. And then really continuing today in our meetings, there was some talk about some of our professional development opportunities that's been occurring through our letters training, our skills training, some of those things that's really, again, taking shape and form. So again, appreciative of the work from her and the support in our building. It's going to continue to set our vision as we move forward. And then the final thing here tonight, just want to give a little bit of a forecast of our ACES Winter Concert is coming just after the Thanksgiving break on December the 3rd, 6 o'clock p.m. And I think we have landed on Maple Avenue being the host location of that concert. So just encourage you to come out and support our talented music students through the leadership of Miss Emily Green, Mr. Adam Bish, and Mr. Mike Lowball. They do a fabulous job. If you've never came to one of their concerts before at the high school, elementary school, we really encourage you to come out and see it. Our students do a fabulous job, and our adults who work with them do as well. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Miller? Hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Becker, you're up.
Good evening, everybody. It's been a busy few weeks for the Thunderbolt Foundation, and through this time I was reminded by somebody, a quote by Helen Keller, and it was, "Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much." And these past couple of weeks have truly shown that with the events that we have held, and also with people that are reaching out to talk about scholarships for our students and ways that they can support the Thunderbolt Foundation. So I thought that was quite an appropriate quote, because I think we all have learned that when we work together and we focus on the positivity within our community, the great impact that we can make. So, impact of positivity that we are making within this community. Dolly Parton, we are up to 215 registered to date, working towards getting it into all of Adams County. I have some people that I'm going to be meeting with to try to give this opportunity to all children that are in Adams County. Our Harlem Wizards event, with our coaches and basketball players that are present here. We had over 600 children and adults in that gym. It was hot. But they had a great time. And we had a lot of children that received some free tickets that their families would not have been able to attend had they not had those. So it was a great evening. The kids had a great time, and we returned all the teachers in one piece and administrators, so that's a good thing. We were the recipient of a $2,000 grant from the Rice Foundation. The Rice Foundation is a local out of Hanover, and that is going to help us in providing our sneakers and snow boots to all the children in the Caring and Sharing program. And we're looking at least 134 pairs that we're going to be distributing this year. Probably it'll be a little bit higher than that, but we're well on our way. And I'm also working with a local business in Hanover who are helping us to get discounts so that we can help that cost a little bit. We received from our partner, Community Aid, $371.15 from our last clothing drive. This money we will be paying forward to Ruth's Harvest Program and to help support them over the holidays. Our Giving Spree results, we won't know those till December, but they will be coming soon. So it's been a really great week. I think the next time I speak to you, I will hopefully have some more good things to share with you with some groups that have reached out and helping us to serve our community and the positive way.
Thank you.
Mrs. Becker, two things.
Yeah.
One, is it possible we bring in some books from the Dolly Parton program and?
Yeah,
show
right
them
now,
around?
yeah. I have, the next batch should be actually coming out in the next week or two, depending on the age group. They don't all get released in the same day, so I can probably bring a couple to show and share with that. I know I have the little engine that could, so I definitely have that one, but the next time I will bring whatever the book would be for this month.
I'll drop the second one. It was about the Zags and the, the playoffs, and the tournament at the end, so we'll talk about that later.
They're off to a wonderful start, aren't they?
Yeah.
Here we have any other questions for Ms. Becker?
I just wanted to say how much we appreciated the Harlem Wizards that put together the whole thing. We had a very enjoyable time. It was a great time, and plan to go next year. That was so good. So thank you very much for everything.
It was a lot of fun. The smiles on the kids' faces, it's all in there. The sweat from the teachers is even better. So.
The only question I have is just being unable to attend the other obligations. What was the final score? No one's given it. The final score of the game?
I'm sorry,
The final score of the game?
the Final Four this year?
No, the final score of the game.
Oh, the final.
Four.
Oh, the final, well, we didn't win.
Well, that's not the. Are we
They
improving over the previous
cut-
year?
The
score was-
I
I got no playing time, it would have been different, but he didn't put me in. He put you in.
I don't know if the coaching staff had the right people at the right time, and then we had that switch with. And so that.
Just threw them all under the bus.
I guess this isn't AYO, so everybody plays?
Yes, everybody plays. We had a great time. We had
They had fun.
probably 22
About
staff
22.
members altogether for the three
I
buildings.
mean, we had 22 on the court, but then we'd had we had probably 26 student volunteers, teacher volunteers, and community helpers, and administrators, and it was a ton of fun.
That's all that counts.
You
Thank
have 2 years to practice.
So to answer your question, during the third quarter, they decided to put the score even.
Oh.
We're supposed to put our best squad out there to compete with their best squad. Now, at that point, the score sort of went back out again. So I would say it was around 10 points, maybe 10 or 15 points, but for the night of fun it was well worth it, so. Yeah,
I
we're
want to
not-
say it was like 38 to 24 or something
Yeah,
like that.
something
I
like that.
forget.
Yeah, it was not.
It's a pretty low scoring game there, you know.
It was,
Well,
Like reset it in the third quarter.
They reset it in the third.
There's not a lot faster.
yeah.
It's a little more entertainment than it is.
I will say that the Wizards, the guys from that team, they're great guys, and I got to spend some time getting to know a few of them, and they loved coming to Little Sound. And from meeting with the kids in the assemblies in the morning and the teachers that they played with, they really did appreciate them, because a lot of them are young guys, right out of college, and so.
Yeah, I would say, just I want to add to that, is the assemblies that we do on that morning that leads up to that event is just phenomenal for our kids. They come in the Wizards and they do a great job. They have a great message that they deliver to our students, as well as promoting the event, but they come in to give a really positive message, so it's a
So
good
you've got
thing.
2 years to recruit your next.
So it's a double-edged sword, there's fun and education.
That's right.
What grades do they do the assemblies with?
They did K through 8.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah. So a little bit different crowd. But we had, I think we had more middle school kids attending this year, which is a good thing. There were quite a few. So it's just lots of fun. So.
I just wanted to be.
Anybody have any other questions?
It sounds like Joey might be.
Hearing none?
I won't throw you under the bus next time, maybe.
Okay.
It's always the coach in this room.
We now recognize the members of the public who have signed up to provide comment as stipulated in policy 903. When your name is called, please approach the podium, state your name, confirm you're a resident or a taxpayer in the district. Topic of discussion for the record. Please direct your comments to the board as a whole, not an individual. We ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. The privilege to speak may be interrupted, revoked, or recessed. The meeting may be called by the chair if the speaker does not observe reasonable decorum and orderly conduct. Thank you. Ms. Susan Nelson.
Y'all let me know when you're ready, so.
All right.
Okay, just want to make sure, because some of y'all can't see me ready sometimes. Okay, so I also want to recognize the great work by the teachers. I'm looking forward to meeting with my daughter's teachers next week. We've reached the end of the first trimester for ACES, so for the ACES parents out there, you'll be seeing some progress, I'm sure. I also want to mention that tomorrow is the NHS blood drive. I don't think that was mentioned. And we have the boys soccer game, the annual alumni gaming coming up. Thanksgiving, so that seems like it's a fun event. I don't know, I'm not boys soccer, but that looks fun. Anyway, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Suzanne Johnson, Littlestown resident, and my child attends school in this district. As a taxpayer and parent, I am frustrated seeing taxes increase while our students continue to struggle with reading and math. When Superintendent Bigger was here, knowing that we were going to be spending all this money on the building projects, his goals were to achieve cost savings through the building consolidations by reducing positions, although I don't think that he meant classroom positions, I think he meant in the administration. But that certainly doesn't seem to be a goal anymore with our central office positions, especially. Like for example, tonight, new or revised position descriptions on tonight's agenda, and other positions, including the full-time maintenance administrative assistant and a second security officer for the building project, may be important, but they're not making a difference in the classroom. You spent a considerable time developing a new mission and vision statements and mapping curriculum to standards, and you've been very slowly, in my frustration, implementing the evidence-based science and reading methods. You introduced yet another automated assessment and instruction tool with iReady this year, but I can tell you my daughter has completed plenty and plenty of automated lessons, unfortunately often not learning the skills because she actually needed a teaching professional to help her, not just a computer program. And it's not just the students and parents wanting more help. I mean, tonight Mr. Moran mentioned that they were looking at budgetary needs for differentiated instruction. Dr. Berryman, when she was at the high school, and Principal Golden have mentioned needing co-teaching to help having like 2 teachers in a classroom where the students are needing more help. At this moment, or at this month's curriculum meeting, I also was very frustrated and disappointed in the lack of support for our MAMS teachers and educational professionals who developed the elective catalog based on assessing student interests, career development needs, and reviewing enrollment in the current MAMS elective courses. While I agree with the committee's recommendation to move all these electives forward, I strongly disagree with changing course titles or descriptions, taking the opinion of one board member over the professional experience of our educators. Will this lack of support for our education professionals maintain our maintaining our high-quality teachers at MAMS when we're already seeming to struggle with this challenge? I believe we're also struggling with keeping support staff, especially bus and van drivers, yet we're proposing $600,000 for new buses but don't have the drivers to put in them. Perhaps the most critical investment our students need at this time is career and technical education. Despite that priority for our students and our community's workforce, you don't have any plan to allocate any of our budget surplus to the ACTI building project. That's disappointing. You're estimating that we'll have to pay $500,000 per year, over $500,000 per year for 20, 25, 30 years for the ACTI bond payments, you plan to gradually increase taxes 1% each year for 3 years to build up to that annual commitment. But why not also set aside money from these budget surpluses of $3.75 million and $4 million last year, and who knows next year? For each increment of $500,000 that you allocate to the ACTI fund, that could be one annual payment coming from money already collected instead of new tax revenue. Perhaps half the fiscal year 24 budget surplus and any future allocations should be split 50-50 between the capital reserve and the ACTI project. That would ensure funding for both ACTI and our highest priority capital projects within this district. Speaking of bond payments, the public may be surprised to hear the district is already paying $4 million per year, about 10% of our budget, just for bond principal and interest payments, not for student programming or anything like that. In addition, further expensive capital projects are being proposed for the next 2 to 3 years for these buildings. Recall that last month you approved $358,000 for capital projects. You recently celebrated receiving 2 facility grants of $500,000 each. That celebration failed to mention, and we've since learned that that would require up to $5.3 million from our capital reserve projects for those capital reserve fund for those projects. And tonight the board is asking to approve the allocation of nearly all the budget surplus to capital reserves. Was that 3 minutes or 5
That
minutes?
was 5.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your comments.
Okay.
On to the next. Need a motion to approve the following board minutes for regular board meeting of October 21st, 2024.
So moved. Nick Baldwin.
I need a second.
Second, Steve Yoder.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the curriculum, co-curriculum, and policy meeting of November 5th, 2024.
So moved. Nick Baldwin.
Second.
Second, Brian Lawyer.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the finance, property, and supply meeting of November 5th, 2024.
So moved, Dwayne Sullivan.
Second.
Second, Brian Lawyer.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the work session of November 11th, 2024.
So moved. Nick Baldwin.
Second, Steve Yoder.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I have some.
Okay.
2 things, Gary. Under the names of the attendees, you put M. Brenneman, it should be Mary Brenneman. You see that? And down here under draft, November 18th, 2024 regular board agenda, under personnel report. You wrote the board asked for clarification, the board didn't ask, I asked. The board never asked. That's it.
Can we change it right now so we can vote?
Yeah.
Yep. So we can vote on those substantive edits.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Your
Okay. Finance, Property, and Supply Committee report. Under the Finance, Property, and Supply Committee report, does anyone have any items they wish to be pulled and voted on separately?
I do. Also, you going? Oh, I do. I like to pull B, C, E, E, and I1.
for A, F, G,
Z pulled, start that over again. I don't think anybody pulled in.
yeah,
Okay, all right. All right, so we have a motion on the floor to approve A, F, and G.
So moved, Mayor Brennan.
What is the second? Okay. Any discussion on A, F, G? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
in the form of a motion, recommend item B.
I have a motion to approve item B, change order number 62 for $35,500. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
I have a question. So I was reading this change order, it seemed pretty extensive amount of money. Was this bid out in any way, shape, or form?
Yes, absolutely.
Was
This
it?
was, yeah, the issue that we had at hand, this is part of our construction project. There was an omission of a certain area of our firewall that needed to be fixed. And it was simply time and materials to be able to complete the job that was there. So it is part of the construction process that we have in place.
But it's an addition to it?
It
because
is a
it's-
change order
Change order.
for the construction project.
So you say you did bid it out?
It's part of the regular bid
Oh,
of the building
oh, the
construction
regular bid.
It
process.
qualifies under the regular bid.
Correct.
Okay,
It's
okay.
a change in the work that was being done.
When I read that, I sat there and went down through it, and I sat there and looked at it, and I thought, okay, are they replacing something because it got damaged?
No, it was an error of omission. So it was a part of a firewall that code said needed to be completed from where the drawing had stopped. So the masons, the construction superintendent, everyone understood that it needed to be there according to code. There were no additional fees, simply time and materials to make it so it met code.
Okay, thanks, I appreciate it.
Sure.
Any other discussion on B? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
In the form of a motion, recommend approval of C. Recommend approval transferring 3.2220 from the general fund to capital reserve effective June 30th, 2024.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor for a recommend approval of transferring funds to the general fund. Do I have a second?
Second.
They needed a capital reserve.
Capital return, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. Letter C. Any discussion on this?
I do. As I stated before, and I know this, the point's moot at this point, but I want to make it again. I think that we should have taken some money out of this. Well, it was originally 3.75 million, it's down to 3,200,000, and put it toward ACTI in the account so that we didn't have to raise taxes this coming June. I noticed that you moved 500-some thousand over already, so I know it could be done. 546,000 went into transportation, so I know it could be moved because it was $3,745,781. Why couldn't we move anything else into ACTI? Because we're still going to be probably taxing the taxpayers again this year for ACTI. And I'm seeing a budget surplus here that they didn't know was coming. That was my whole opinion on it, that we should just taken some of that money out of there and put it in ACTI. It would have been in an assigned fund,